All right, we got it set, day later, which is awesome. Yesterday, if you caught the video, you know, the yard was still a shambles like it is, but the crusher was there in the middle. And that's a big puzzle piece because A, it was taking up a ton of room, and B, we weren't able to use it. Now we're able to use it. So got it leveled. We're gonna let it set for probably a couple weeks just because the ground out here is not the easiest ground to work with. But nonetheless, it's fairly easy where it's at to adjust it later, and that's awesome. So this whole area here, all these vehicles will be moved pretty much where that crusher was as soon as I got that area. And then we can really start moving, because this is going to be ultimately the scrap area of the yard, the parts that we can't save, which there's not a lot of them, but there are some sometimes. I mean, there's rusty crap, there's our scrap bins, there's always breakage out here. And then and then of course we have a ton of engines that we pull that don't make the cut. And a lot of them we build, but not all of them. And even if we do build them, a lot, since they're going to the machine shop, ultimately anyway, we pretty much bag them or cover them and throw them back here. Or really, we're putting them up there. But again, that's where our crusher was. If you caught that video yesterday, basically up where you see that, let's see my finger, that box truck there and that pile of dirt right there, that's where our crusher was. And I don't know, the beginning, and when we did it all, it made a lot of sense. Part of it because we had power up there, and we figured, you know, block heaters for the winter and whatnot. But this Cummins, which is in that crusher, as long as we're running a tender on it, which we have a solar tender on it, this thing will fire up without any hesitation. It just runs fantastic. No hesitation. Even in the cold weather, the thing will start right up. So that's not a big deal. And if we had to bring a block heater out and put it on something, you know, we have plenty of batteries to do that. So haven't had to have that happen. We don't get that cold here, so probably won't. But anyway, back in the time, it was like we had this area around that shed up there that was just kind of a dead area. So we thought, well, let's put it here. And it, like I said in that video yesterday, it really became a collect-all for especially my guys who I love to pieces, but if they can find a place to stow something and it's convenient, which it was because it was right next to the garage, then that's what they did. So now we're going to make it very inconvenient to put, you know, stuff where it doesn't belong, which is going to be way back here. And I really do think this by itself will clear up a lot of the mess we had that was going on out here. And then of course we have to do all of our racking again. But before we do that, we got to clear all the vehicles that are there, bring them all out here, this is a lot. I mean, people, like I said, said this story yesterday. I've moved several junkyards. I bought out several junkyards, state, Washington, California, Montana, and they've always been tricky, but it's been a unified move and fairly easy because there's not a lot of moving parts. In this yard, to do what we're trying to do with as much stuff as we have in this yard, it is not very difficult or not very easy. And on top of it, we have, you know, sporadic things just all over the place, which make it even more difficult. So I've pretty much got, except for the tires, of course, everything on a pallet so I can at least move it with the forklift. From there, it's just a matter of, again, shifting all of that mess over into this area that we just freed up, and then moving, essentially leveling that before we move anything. And we have to move our engines. They'll come back here, of course, and engines meaning our cores or our bad ones, and any other core that's around that area. We got radiators and whatnot. That will all come back here, so that will alleviate all that area. And then the first solution, or the first thing we got to solve, is the drainage in this yard was very good at one time, or so I'm told, long before we had it. This yard, it dates back to the 1940s. But the problem was, at some point, one of the owners dug these pits out here. Sorry, I've been showing you the sky. These big old pits. We're not exactly sure why they had them both here. This one, we're pretty sure they had scrap bins in, or semi-trailer, something of the sort. But nonetheless, that one is I mean, it's so massive, it's a liability, mainly for my guys working with a loader or myself. I mean, it's this huge pit. and it's it's just, we've used it as a tire pit for years, which is total waste. But with the loader being back here and the crusher being back here and that being moving around a lot, that's going to come out. We're going to fill this in, so we'll get this real estate back, which is a decent amount here, and we're going to fill this one in too. And that's going to alleviate two things. One is the space. That's going to be nice to have back because they're kind of pointless. I mean, really, it's a collect all for that and tire for this. But the other big thing for us here is when they dug them out, they didn't level it after that. And so they've raised, you can see it. It's hard to see here with all the crap in the way, but the yard has got a good slope to it. It's got great drainage. This yard, I don't mention this too often in videos, and I'll give a better description of this later. But this yard was beautified by the Johnsons, Lyndon B. Johnson, what is it, Lady Bird Johnson. And I'll tell you the whole story later. But that's part of the reason it's got this huge cool berm around it and this fenced area. Locals still drive by this place and wander in here and go, man, I've lived here my whole life and I never knew what was back here, which is neat. That's kind of what we want is a yard that's a nice thing. You can literally see the ground rise here. So when they dug these pits after they had beautified this long ago, they didn't take in consideration. I mean, they totally ruined the leveling in this yard. So it's got some grade here and it's got a decent grade around in here. But then these pits kind of rose up and they almost got an embankment around them. And that makes water sit in the weirdest places. So we're going to get rid of that issue because that's been a major contention out here. I mean, we can't drive anything. That area is so soft that if the loader or anything goes into it, we end up having to pull it out. It's just awful. And obviously when it's wet, not when it's dry. It's pretty nice when it's dry. But over there, amongst all the crap over there, there's a big culvert. And it goes underneath the berm and out to the ditch out there. So if we have proper drainage, we can get rid of our water. That won't be an issue. It's not like it turns into a big lake out here. I thought that initially, but no, it does drain off well. It just has to get there. And it won't get there if it's got a big hump to get over. So we're going to get rid of that. So again, we're going to move all that crap over here, shift that. As easy as that sounds, it's not very easy. It'll take some time. And then the dozer, that's another big issue. And I just found this out today. The carriage unit on the dozer, which is what basically holds the blade in. It's this gigantic hunk of metal, like two rails basically that come out to meet to hold the front blade on, which is a significant part, right? I mean, that's what we push dirt with. Well, we found that it's cracked all the way around. It's not completely separated yet, but it's inches from doing it, which means it has to be fixed before we can do anything else with it. Otherwise, it's going to come apart, and then it's going to be really hard to fix later. So that's on the list to do now. And amongst that, obviously, customer vehicles that we have up there. Amongst that, we have our main business, which is our parts business that we're still running full scale, at least trying anyway. So, yeah. So hopefully, and I again, this video, I posted the one yesterday. I'll post this one again tonight, and hopefully every day, especially that it's nice. 70 guys, we live in, by the way, I didn't introduce myself. I always do that. Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, PartsBreakers.com, 303-666-9020. We're in Grand Junction, Colorado. Okay, we're about 4,800 feet. We're not as high as Denver, which is 5,280, the mile high, everybody knows, but we're not far from it. But we're in the high mountain desert, and because of that, we have a lot better weather. But we still get cold. I mean, it's still high elevation. So I say that because it's November 4th today, I think, 3rd or 4th today. And usually by Halloween, we have our first, if not snowstorm, at least a rainstorm. We had really nice weather on Halloween. It was actually very peachy. Today was like 65. Tomorrow is supposed to be 75 degrees out here. 75 degrees. So, I mean, and we're going to have a mild week after that before we don't have any rain in the forecast. So, and really, as much as we need it, I don't want it right now while we're doing this, because once this yard goes that way, we're done for the season. I feel like we're on the Gold Rush show, and they're trying to they're trying to get their last cut done before winter comes in. So that's where we're at on it. If we can get all that done and get this leveled out and re-rocked, we're going to move these containers up to the front, again, all for the purpose of being no excuse, more convenient. Everything's close to where comes off the vehicle. Set our racking back up, get all our parts put back up, re-inventory everything, because obviously with everything being all over, we've lost track of half the crap we have. That's going to be a big endeavor. And then from there, it's just a matter of resetting our lines. These are all going to get pushed over to lines over in this area, which is great, because I mentioned this yesterday. It's a very soppy area, and with vehicles, it's no big deal. We can get loaders back there as long as we're somewhat graded, and we should be rocking. So we really should be. I'm hoping, I said this yesterday, that crusher would be set by today. It is set, it is leveled. We'll let it sit out, and we'll need a couple weeks on seeing where it actually ends up as far as level wise. But we're making good timing all of a sudden, and it's always how it is. It felt like a freaking Mount Everest in the very beginning when we started all this stuff. And now we're starting to see little by little these little projects finishing and coming to fruition, and that's starting to be cool to see. My wife was like, "You guys have done so much yesterday." And I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel that way. But today it does. Today it feels a little bit more like that, with that crusher being where it is. Like I said, that's a big, big step for us, big step for myself. I do feel like we've accomplished something, and I'm looking forward to the next weeks to come. So hopefully you stay tuned and enjoy. And eventually we'll talk about the business some more and some more parts. So, and by the way, there were 3 guys back here with me today. We had 3 guys up at the front, running the counter, running the parts side of it. My sister's doing the phones, I'm doing the phones. So plenty of people to still ship parts and pull parts and get everything out. So still, we need the support and love more so when we're doing stuff like this than ever, because it takes a huge bite to do a job like this. I mean, it's very financially constraining in a lot of ways, and also very expensive in a lot of ways. I brought rock in today, 15 tons. I'm sure somebody's going to laugh at that. That's about what we needed for that pad. And thinking, we'll probably have extra. Nope, we had less. We needed more. So it just doesn't go as far as it used to, it feels like. And it is what it is. So, all right. Again, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, PartsBreakers.com, 303-666-9020. I'm going to try to get a drone if I can swing it here in the next couple of days. I think that's really going to show. I wish I could have done it before the crusher, because it was such a massive bookmark and land shark in the middle of the yard sticking up like where it was. So that in itself looks amazing. And like I said, if you haven't seen that video and want to be bored for 20 minutes of your life, I always say our boring videos. This is not we're not blowing ourselves up or dropping things from helicopters, and there's plenty of that crap out there. This is just more lame and fun and just family stuff. So 41 grit, that's our new thing we're launching here soon, and we'll give you more details on that. So, all right, take care.